Nirupama ma'am, please go ahead.
All the panelists and participants to this important webinar. As we are all aware that in view of this current pandemic and sustained requirement of nutrition for immunity building, malnourishment has to be eradicated. And staple food fortification has been found to be the most effective strategy towards it. Against this backdrop, and to take this noble initiative ahead, ASSOCHAM in association with Hexagon Nutrition is hosting this very important webinar. We have with us Ms. Inoshi Sharma as the chief guest of the webinar. Welcome, ma'am. We have Shri S.N. Stigma. He is the Joint Commissioner, Government of Meghalaya. We have Shri Ravinder Singh Thakur, the Joint Director, Government of Himachal Pradesh. We have Mr. Vikram Kelkar. He's the Group MD, Hexagon Nutrition for the inaugural. And Mr. Arun Mishra, he is the Head, Global Nutrition Regulatory Affairs, Unilever, and Co-Chairman, Food Processing Council, ASSOCHAM. So to take this forward officially, I would now request Mr. Arun Mishra to give the welcome remarks and the context setting. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nirupama. Can you hear me okay?
Sir.
And are you able to see me as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. First of all, hope you all are safe and well at home. And everyone near and dear are safe and well as well. And I would like to congratulate ASSOCHAM again for bringing this important topic for a discussion. And I see the panel is eminent panel that we have and all the experts that we have got. I see Deepti ji as well, who will be chairing and moderating the discussion. So again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all for this important webinar on staple food fortification, a cost-effective strategy to eradicate malnutrition. It's a very important topic. I would like to take this opportunity to invite and welcome our panel members and guests, Ms. Inoshi Sharma ji, Director, Food Fortification Resource Center, FSI, Shri Ravindra Singh Thakur ji, Joint Director, Food Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs from Government of Himachal Pradesh, Shri S.N. Sangama ji, Joint Commissioner, Food Safety, Government of Meghalaya, Mr. Vikram Kelkar, MD, Hexagon Nutrition, of course, Ms. Deepti Gulati, Head Program GAIN, Mr. Vivek Arora, Senior Advisor, Tata Trust, Mr. Suresh, Lakshmi, Narayan, National Program Manager, Nutrition International, Mr. Neeraj Jain, Country Director, PATH, Ms. Sharika Yunus, Head of Unit and Program Officer, United Nations World Food Program, and Mr. Arun Umlal, VP, Hexagon Nutrition. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for coming together for this important topic. Ms. Gulati will moderate the panel discussion today, later on. But as we all know, the ongoing health crisis around COVID has affected all walks of our lives. And we see that every day evolving around the world. Protecting lives of people suffering from the disease as well as frontline responders have been the priority for the countries, not only India, but around the world, you see. As we see, Europe is going into phase 2 sort of, or wave 2. We will continue to be in similar situation, and we will look at priority areas like nutrition, which will play an important role. We have seen around, and that is continuing, that governments have swung into action since coronavirus attack created an unprecedented situation, not only for our lives, for the businesses and all walks of life, all aspects of life. So we're still not out of the woods. But it's an important topic to discuss today, that how micronutrient plays an important role, how fortification as a pathway is relevant and important, and more relevant and important considering the crisis that we have. If I look at micronutrient deficiency or hidden hunger, it's not new to us. and the negative consequences of diet lacking in essential vitamins and minerals have multiple health impacts, whether in kids if you look at stunted and wasted, or even today if you look at from immunity point of view or protection point of view, from health point of view is very relevant. This hidden hunger is more prevalent in the vulnerable population. We have seen in kids, in elderly, but it's for all. Even everyone attending this conference, all of us sitting around here, I'm sure we are deficient in vitamin D. So it's something that is it's a part of our lives, and we need to address and we need to look at it. Various authorities around the world, including Codex, have found fortification of staple food is a very effective vehicle, and it's important vehicle as well. We know Government of India has embarked and really prioritized staple food fortification, whether from policy point of view, regulation point of view, or encouraging industry as well to look at. And therefore, we have started seeing results in terms of products, in terms of policies, in terms of distribution. It's not a new concept for us. I mean, it was, 70, 80 years ago when Vanaspati was fortified with vitamin A. So it's not a new concept for India when it comes to, but of course there have been major landmarks, whether it's iodine fortification in salt in 2005 or recent regulations around as well. These are the progressive landscape that country has seen, and it's an important partnership bringing industry, academia, and regulators on this journey all together to drive the agenda, because we need innovation, we need policy, we need industry to really bring those solutions to masses. Fortification via staple food is not only cost effective and not only scientifically proven, but it's also globally recognized approach. It helps to easily reach wider vulnerable population through existing food delivery systems and also food habits as well. What's even better, its impact. Fortified foods help to maintain steady body stores of vitamins and minerals when consumed regularly. Efforts are also underway to produce staple crops like rice, maize, sweet potatoes, cassava, and so on, that are dense in mineral and vitamins through plant breeding and genetic modification, and is known as biofortification. It's an important tool again. We have seen our universities, agriculture universities, they have served the nation very well, and they continue to serve. This is, I'm sure, another area of biofortification where universities like Panagar University or many other would come forward and really help the nation in biofortification as well. Government of India has prioritized rice fortification. The Food and Civil Supplies Department in 2019 launched a scheme to introduce fortified rice in 15 districts as a pilot in the country through PDS system, with a financial commitment of 147 crore in order to address malnutrition and anemia and promote nutrition security. And commitment from the government, state government, central government continues to be there to promote food fortification via stable food, and it's relevant and important. With these words, I would like our speakers to take over and help us better understand the current situation of the sector, the challenges, and the way to overcome these industrial hurdles. I would once again like to welcome all the speakers and participants to this important conference, and I wish you all again stay safe, stay healthy. This is a crisis, but this will get over too. So please don't worry.
Thank you very much. And setting the theme of today's webinar, I would now request Shri Vikram Kelkarji to give his views on the industry perspective of food fortification. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Nirupama ji. Hi, Arun. It is always a pleasure to have you in the introductory session. So I'll just
Thank you, Vikram.
Thank you. So is my presentation visible?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah. Okay, great. So thank you very much. and good evening, everyone, esteemed participants of this conference. I am Vikram Kelkar, Managing Director of Hexagon Nutrition, and it is my proud privilege to speak in today's prestigious forum. Today, I am going to present on food fortification industry perspective. So before I start my presentation, I would like to clarify and I would like to reiterate the fact that food fortification or fortification is a collective responsibility. And when I say collective responsibility, the stakeholders who are involved are the government, the non-governmental organizations, supranational organizations, and last but not the least, the industry. So with that, it is very important that all of us have to work together as a team to make sure that we achieve this objective of fortification and be successful in that. So the key takeaways from this presentation are going to be micronutrient deficiency, the status in India, food fortification, a strategy for addressing micronutrient malnutrition, food fortification, an aggressive initiative by FSSAI on the staple food fortification, fortification in various foods and beverages, and then the food fortification industry overview. Micronutrient deficiency, also known as hidden hunger, refers to the inadequate intake of crucial vitamins and minerals such as vitamin B, A, iron, iodine, folate, and zinc. These deficiencies and their negative health consequences affect approximately 2 billion people across the world. India has a very high burden of micronutrient deficiencies caused by vitamin A, iodine, iron, and folic acid, leading to night blindness, goiter, anemia, and various birth defects. According to the National Family Health Survey, 58.4% of children are anemic, 53.1% women in the reproductive age group are anemic, 35.7% of the children under 5 are underweight, and India ranks 94 out of 107 nations on the hunger index. So food fortification is a globally proven intervention to address the much prevalent micronutrient deficiencies in the population. The Food and Agricultural Organization FAO and WHO identify food fortification as one of the main strategies for addressing micronutrient malnutrition. It is the fastest and the cheapest strategies to reach hundreds of millions with improved intakes of essential micronutrients through food fortification, the practice of adding one or more essential nutrients to a widely consumed food. So FSSAI has taken some great initiatives, the Eat Right India, which is Sahi Bhojan, Behtar Jeevan, and the Fortified, the plus F logo, which means Sampurna Poshan Swasth Jeevan. And important to note that a prime solution for suppressing malnutrition and nutritional deficiencies by means of micronutrient premixes. Now, on staple food fortification, the FSSAI standards provide a minimum and maximum range for fortification of staples like wheat flour, maida, rice, salt, vegetable oil, and milk. Fortified staples are being used in the Integrated Child Development Services, ICDS, and the MDM, that is a midday meal scheme. The plus F logo describes that a particular food is fortified with the micronutrients as per the levels specified by FSSAI. Let's look at the various range of these fortified food products or the fortification that can be done in the various foods and beverages. And these fortified applications have to be developed as per the Food Safety and Standards Advertising and Claims Regulations 2018 and ICMR RDA FSSAI 2019. Let's have a look at the industry overview. The Indian food fortification premix market grew rapidly at a CAGR of 23.2% annually between 2015 and 2019, reaching a value of more than 1.7 billion rupees, which is about 170 crores. In 2019, the food fortification premix market in India attained a volume of more than 541 metric tons and was valued at about 200 crores in 2019, owing to the robust demand. The market will continue to show an impressive growth over the next 5 years with a projected CAGR of around 18% for the period 2020 to 2025. If we look at the segregation of the market, then the food staples account for about 75% of the total premix consumption, followed by the sports nutrition and dietary supplements, then the infant and early nutrition, and then beverages, and then processed foods. And within the staples food fortification, the edible oil fortification comprises for about 55% of the market, then followed by the wheat fortification, the milk fortification at 19%, then double fortified salts, and the rice fortification is now gradually picking up because this was the data of 2018. Then let's look at the key market drivers. The implementation of FSSAI standards of food staple fortification, fortification program initiatives by central and state government to combat nutrient deficiency, voluntary initiatives taken by MNCs and local food and beverage companies to fortify their products. The price outlook. Vitamins market has been volatile. There have been incidences of force majeure in the vitamin A supply couple of years back. The recent COVID-19 pandemic has also affected the prices of vitamins to a certain extent. Let's look at the key market developments. Mandatory staple fortification by the Ministry of Women and Child Development and Ministry of HRD. ICMR Indian are further updated by FSSAI for certain micronutrients that were not listed. Looking at the market size, Indian food fortification market has been growing consistently over the years. Though exact numbers are not available, the market size for vitamins for fortification is estimated at around 350 crores. However, this number may vary significantly depending on the compliance followed by the industry. Let's have a look at the SWOT analysis. Coming to the strengths, we have diverse food applications, ease of customization, food fortification initiatives by government to tackle nutrient deficiencies at state level, Rajasthan, MP, Gujarat, West Bengal and Himachal Pradesh, CSR initiatives undertaken by FMCG, food and beverage companies. Let's look at the weaknesses. Low consumer awareness on consumption of fortified foods. Regulatory monitoring is at a nascent stage. Slow implementation of government circulars at state level. Low awareness about premix quality and testing. Let's have a look at the opportunities. Changing consumer lifestyle. Better clarity in regulation related to food fortification, FSSAI Food Fortification Regulations 2018. FSSAI regulations are in place, for example, the Nutraceutical Regulations 2016. ICMR India RDA further updated by FSSAI in 2019. And announcement of regulations to fortify processed foods, including cereals, bakery products, buns, bread, pasta, biscuits, and noodles. Then the threats. Price volatility in certain key vitamins, non-availability of standard analytical methods for testing of micronutrients in fortified products, and relying on qualitative tests instead of quantitative tests for vitamins in fortified products. So with that, I would like to end my presentation, and I wish all the best for the panelists. We have a power-packed panel having the stalwarts and captains from the governments, non-governmental organizations, supranational organizations, and a warm welcome to our chief guest, Ms. Inoshi Sharma, who took off her valuable time to grace this occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And in fact, your address could definitely, all the participants could assess what is actually the industry scenario, what are the initiatives that have happened in the sector, what government is doing. And I would now request Shri Ravinder Singh Thakur ji, who is a Joint Director from Government of Himachal Pradesh, to share his views. Over to you, sir. Ravinder ji, you need to unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Inoshi ma'am, Arun Mishra sir, sir, और पैनल में शामिल सभी बाकी तरह से सबसे पहले तो मैं ASSOCHAM को और Hexagon Nutrition को कांग्रेचुलेट करना चाहूँगा क्योंकि उन्होंने टॉपिक स्टेपल फूड फोर्टिफिकेशन, अ कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव स्ट्रेटेजी टू इरेडिकेट मालन्यूट्रिशन को जो है डिस्कशन के लिए चुना और मुझे भी मौका दिया कि मैं इस डिस्कशन में शामिल हो सकूं, इसके लिए आप सभी का धन्यवाद। जैसा कि अभी अपने विक्रम केलकर जी ने बताया कि फोर्टिफिकेशन की हमें जरूरत क्यों है। बेसिकली अगर हम इंडिया के कंटेक्स्ट में देखें तो यहाँ पर विटामिन ए, आयोडीन, आयरन और फॉलिक एसिड की काफी ज्यादा डेफिशिएंसी लोगों में नोट की गई है। और जैसे कि हमारा जो नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे 4 है, उसके अकॉर्डिंग अराउंड 58% जो हमारे चिल्ड्रन है एज बिटवीन 6 to 59 months, दे आर एनीमिक, एंड वुमेन ऑफ रिप्रोडक्टिव एज ग्रुप 53% वो विमेन भी जो है अनेमिक है। इसी तरह जो अंडरवेट चिल्ड्रन है बिलो द एज ऑफ 5, 35.7% जो हमारे बच्चे हैं दे आर अंडरवेट। तो ये वाकई एक सीरियस कंसर्न है कि भाई इतनी पॉपुलेशन हमारी या तो अनेमिक है या फिर अंडरवेट है। और इसका जो एक मेजर रीजन, जैसे पहले भी हमारे पैनलिस्ट ने बताया कि माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स मालन्यूट्रिशन जो है एक इसका मेजर रीजन है। तो अगर माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट मालन्यूट्रिशन को हमने फाइट करना है, इसके खिलाफ अगर लड़ाई लड़नी है, तो उसके मेनली जो है हम 3 तरीके सजेस्ट करते हैं गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में भी। पहला जो तरीका है वो है आपका डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन। डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन जैसे कि टर्म से ही पता लग रहा है कि डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन हम जो है डाइट को डाइवर्सिफाई कर देंगे। मतलब जो आप फूड इनटेक कर रहे हैं उसमें आपको अलग अलग तरह की वेराइटीज ऐड करनी पड़ेगी। फॉर एग्जांपल से अगर हम विटामिन ए में डेफिशिएंट विटामिन ए सफर कर रहा है, तो हमें विटामिन ए का इनटेक बढ़ाना है। और विटामिन ए का इनटेक अगर डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन से बढ़ाना है तो डेफिनेटली आपको लीफी वेजिटेबल्स ज्यादा लेने पड़ेंगे। लीवर या फिश ऑयल जिसमें विटामिन ए ज्यादा है, उसको जो है आपको डाइट में ज्यादा इंक्लूड करना पड़ेगा। डेफिनेटली ये एक कॉस्टली अफेयर है, क्योंकि जब डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन की बात हम करते हैं तो उसमें ज्यादा फंड्स या ज्यादा कॉस्ट इन्वॉल्व रहती है, इसलिए ये तरीका जो है इतना इफेक्टिव शायद नहीं हो पाता है। और दूसरा, जो लोग डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन को अगर अफोर्ड भी कर पा रहे हैं, से एक वेल ऑफ फैमिली है, वो अगर डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन कर भी रही है, तो क्या उनके बच्चे वो डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन का फायदा उठा पा रहे हैं? क्या वो जो है, मान लो हमारी विटामिन ए की ही डेफिशिएंसी में बात कर रहा था, तो वेल ऑफ फैमिलीज अपने बच्चों को कैरेट खिलाने की कोशिश करती है, लेकिन बच्चे खाते नहीं है। तो इसलिए जो रिजल्ट डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन से आने थे वो शायद कहीं ना कहीं उस लेवल तक नहीं आ पा रहे हैं। तो ये तरीका नो डाउट अच्छा तरीका है, बट उस लेवल तक जो है ये इफेक्टिव शायद नहीं साबित होता है। दूसरा फिर तरीका आ जाता है हमारा माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट सप्लीमेंटेशन। हम सभी जानते हैं कि अगर हमने शॉर्टर टर्म में, शॉर्टर पीरियड में अच्छे रिजल्ट इफ वी वांट टू गेन, देन दिस इज द मोस्ट इफेक्टिव वे आउट, कि आप जो है सप्लीमेंट्स पर लोगों को डाल दो। इसका बहुत ही कॉमन एग्जांपल जो हम अपने आसपास देख सकते हैं, प्रेग्नेंट वीमेन को आप IFA डोजेस पर डाल देते हैं, आयरन फॉलिक एसिड की जो है उनको डोजेस देना शुरू कर देते हैं। नो डाउट ये शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए अच्छा है, लेकिन इसके भी कुछ जो हो सकता है कि कुछ रेपरकशंस हो, क्योंकि एकदम अगर आपके इतने हैवी डोजेज आप देना शुरू कर दें तो उसके कुछ ना कुछ डेफिनेटली रेपरकशंस होंगे। और दूसरा जो मेजर वो इसमें ड्रॉबैक है कि आप IFA डोजेज तो दे रहे हैं एक सेगमेंट को, लेकिन वो उनको यूज कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा है उसका कोई डाटा गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में भी शायद नहीं रह पाता है, क्योंकि आपने घर जाके वो सप्लीमेंट्स लेने होते हैं, तो उसका भी जो है एक वो रहता है। कॉस्ट इफेक्टिवनेस डेफिनेटली इसकी भी इतनी नहीं है। इसलिए जो थर्ड आज का जो हमारा मेन टॉपिक है कि आप स्टेपल फूड को ही फोर्टिफाई कर दीजिए। आई थिंक हमारे पर्सपेक्टिव से भी जो मैं मानता हूं, जो मुझे लगता है ये एक बेस्ट तरीका हो सकता है आपके माल न्यूट्रिशन को फाइट करने के लिए, आपके फूड फोर्टिफिकेशन। अब जहां तक हम फूड फोर्टिफिकेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, फोर्टिफिकेशन का बड़ा सिंपल सा अगर हम मीनिंग देखें तो सिर्फ इतना है कि आप डेलिबरेटली जो है अपने फूड में माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स ऐड करके उसकी न्यूट्रिशनल वैल्यू बढ़ा रहे हैं, और एक कंडीशन ये है कि आपकी हेल्थ को जो है उसमें मिनिमम रिस्क रहेगा। तो दोनों चीजों को यहाँ पर जो है ध्यान में रखा जा रहा है। एक तो आपके फूड की न्यूट्रिशनल वैल्यू को एनहांस किया जा रहा है, और दूसरा आपकी हेल्थ के लिए जो है रिस्क वो जो है मिनिमम हो, इस तरह से जो है फूड फोर्टिफिकेशन की जाती है। तो अब हम बात करें कि अगर हम हिमाचल गवर्नमेंट की बात करें तो हमारे यहाँ पर जो है एक तो हम आपके ICDS एक डिपार्टमेंट है, WCD वीमेन एंड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट का, उसके थ्रू जो है हम केटर करते हैं अपने जो 6 महीने से ज्यादा के बच्चे हैं और 6 साल तक के बच्चे, फिर साथ में जो है एडोलेसेंट गर्ल्स जो स्कूल नहीं जाती हैं उनको भी हम इसमें केटर करते हैं, और प्रेग्नेंट वीमेन को भी हम इसमें केटर करते हैं। तो इसमें जो है हम अभी फोर्टिफाइड आपकी एक पंजीरी बनती है वो दे रहे हैं, इसी तरह से फोर्टिफाइड बिस्किट्स बच्चों को दे रहे हैं, और फोर्टिफाइड सेवइयां भी हम इसमें प्रोवाइड करवा रहे हैं। इसी तरह क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ पर यूनिवर्सल पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम है, मतलब सभी लोगों के राशन कार्ड बने हैं और सभी लोगों को इर्रिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ देयर इकोनॉमिक स्टेटस सभी लोगों को जो है हम यहाँ पर राशन प्रोवाइड करवा रहे हैं या फिर फूड आर्टिकल्स प्रोवाइड करवा रहे हैं अंडर पीडीएस। तो गवर्नमेंट ने ये डिसाइड किया कि क्योंकि लॉन्ग टर्म इम्पैक्ट जो है फूड फोर्टिफिकेशन के बहुत अच्छे होते हैं, इसलिए गवर्नमेंट ने डिसाइड किया कि हम जो है पब्लिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम के तहत जो पहले एडिबल ऑयल दे रहे थे उसको अब हम जो है फोर्टिफाइड एडिबल ऑयल से रिप्लेस कर दिए हैं। इसी तरह पहले हम सिर्फ आयोडाइज सॉल्ट देते थे, अब हमने डबल फोर्टिफाइड सॉल्ट देना शुरू कर दिया है। और जो मेजर यहाँ पर अचीवमेंट हमारी रही, क्योंकि हिमाचल इसमें पहला स्टेट बना है जिन्होंने 100% पॉपुलेशन को फोर्टिफाइड व्हीट आटा देना शुरू किया है। नो डाउट जब ये प्रोजेक्ट हम शुरू कर रहे थे तो हमें भी कुछ डिफिकल्टीज आई थी, हमारे भी माइंड में बहुत सारे डाउट्स थे। फिर हम FSSAI के स्पेशलिस्ट जो आप लोगों के थे उनसे बात करी, और हमने जो है एक कमेटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूट की जिन्होंने वेस्ट बंगाल जाके उस मॉडल को स्टडी किया कि वो कैसे फोर्टिफाइड जो है आटा पीडीएस के थ्रू डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहे थे। और इसमें मैं यहाँ थैंक्स करना चाहूंगा, स्पेशल थैंक्स अपने गेन और KHPT की टीम की, क्योंकि उन्होंने हिमाचल आके बहुत सारे हमारे साथ सेंसिटाइजेशन वर्कशॉप मिलर्स के लिए अरेंज किए, और डिपार्टमेंट के हमारे जो लोग थे उनको भी इसमें जो है उन्होंने काफी सपोर्ट की इस चीज को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए। और टू माई सरप्राइज हम इतने सरप्राइज थे कि जब हमने सारी एक्सरसाइज की तो हमें ये पता चला कि सिर्फ 1 किलो आटे को फोर्टिफाई करने के लिए सिर्फ जो हमारी टोटल कॉस्ट इंक्लूडिंग प्री मिक्स एज वेल एज मैकेनिकल एफर्ट्स और दूसरा मशीनरी वगैरह को इंस्टॉल करने के लिए सिर्फ 10 पैसा कॉस्ट एनहांसमेंट हुई थी। तो 10 पैसा अगर देखा जाए तो नेग्लिजिबल है, और इसके अगर दूसरी तरफ हम इम्पैक्ट देखें तो वो बहुत ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट है, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ स्टेपल फूड आटा है और हर घर में कंज्यूम होता है। हम आज की डेट में लगभग 19 लाख फैमिलीज को कवर कर रहे हैं और 73 लाख से ज्यादा की पॉपुलेशन को हम केटर कर रहे हैं। तो एक ऐसा तरीका, एक कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव तरीका जिसमें सिर्फ 10 पैसे ऐड करके हमने इतनी बड़ी पॉपुलेशन को कवर कर लिया, तो इसको जो है हर जगह अप्रिशिएट किया गया। इवन मुझे दूसरे स्टेट से भी इसके लिए काफी कॉल्स आती हैं कि आप लोगों ने कैसे की है, और जो भी हेल्प हमसे हो पाती है हम दूसरे स्टेट्स की भी इसमें कर रहे हैं, दूसरे स्टेट भी हमें फॉलो कर रहे हैं। तो मतलब मेरा कहने का मतलब ये है कि हम 73 लाख लोगों तक जो है आसानी से पहुंच गए, ना इतना फाइनेंशियल बर्डन आया, 10 पैसे पर केजी के हिसाब से बर्डन आया, और दूसरा लोगों को ये आइडिया भी नहीं लग रहा है कि वो कुछ एडिशनल इनटेक कर रहे हैं। मतलब जहां तक रिजेंटमेंट की बात होती है, कई बार आप IFA डोजेस पर डाल देते हैं तो कुछ लोगों को ये होता है कि पता नहीं दवाइयां दे रहे हैं, क्या साइड इफेक्ट्स होंगे, तो वो सारी चीजें जो है रूल आउट हो गई थी। इसी तरह जब हमने एडिबल ऑयल को किया तो एडिबल ऑयल में भी जो हमारा एक्सपेंडिचर था वो सिर्फ 20 पैसे के अराउंड ज्यादा आ रहा था। हमने विटामिन A और विटामिन D से जो है एडिबल ऑयल को भी फोर्टिफाई करना शुरू कर दिया। तो मेरा अपना मानना है कि क्योंकि हम सारी पॉपुलेशन को केटर कर रहे हैं, कोई भी हमारे से सेगमेंट छूटा नहीं है, इतने कम खर्चे में अगर हम आयरन, फॉलिक एसिड, विटामिन B12, विटामिन A और विटामिन D देना हमने शुरू कर दिया इतने थोड़े से पैसों में, तो इससे ज्यादा इफेक्टिव तरीका ना तो आपकी डाइटरी डाइवर्सिफिकेशन हो सकती है और ना ही न्यूट्रिशनल सप्लीमेंटेशन हो सकती है। और दूसरा उन लोगों की ये जो 2 मेथड है, डाइटरी आपका डाइवर्सिफिकेशन और सप्लीमेंटेशन, इनकी जो है एक्सेप्टेंस भी लोगों में कम रहती है। तो फूड फोर्टिफिकेशन मेरे हिसाब से एक मोस्ट कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव, क्योंकि सिर्फ 10 पैसे और 20 पैसे में आपने हर एक घर तक अपनी रीच बना ली है। और दूसरा ये है कि लोगों को मतलब वो चीज कहीं ना कहीं आइडिया भी नहीं है कि भाई उनको जो है माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स हम दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि वो विजिबल तो होते नहीं है, बहुत कम क्वांटिटी में वो चीजें ऐड होती हैं। तो उसका इनटेक भी प्रॉपर हो रहा है, और आने वाले टाइम में हम उम्मीद कर रहे हैं कि डेफिनेटली ये चीज जो है, जो एनीमिया की ये बड़ी डरावनी सी फिगर 50% से ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन की आती है, तो एटलीस्ट हम हिमाचल में उसको काफी कम करने में सक्षम रहेंगे। तो मेरा तो ये मानना है कि आप लोग जो एक अच्छा इनिशिएटिव आप शुरू किया है इसको आगे ले जाना चाहिए, हर घर तक पहुंचाना चाहिए, और दूसरी स्टेट्स की सरकारों को भी इसमें क्योंकि पीडीएस की रीच लगभग, और मेरा मानना यह है कि हमारे यहाँ तो यूनिवर्सल है, लेकिन बाकी स्टेट्स में इकोनॉमिकली जो वीकर सेक्शन है उनका उनके लिए जो है पीडीएफ ज्यादा ओपन रहता है। तो मेरा मानना है कि दूसरे स्टेट में भी अगर इसको पुश किया जाए तो इसके बहुत अच्छे रिजल्ट जो है हमें देखने को मिल सकते हैं। तो मेरी तरफ से इतना ही।
थैंक यू वेरी मच शमिंदर जी।
थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू सो मच।
बहुत धन्यवाद आपका ये जानकारी देने के लिए और अपना केस स्टडी हिमाचल का डिस्कस करने के लिए। वी आर श्योर दैट विल बी एबल टू टेक इट and simulate in other states as well. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So, moving on to the next session, I would now request Shri S.N. Sangma ji from government to share his views and what is his observation about the subject. Sangma ji, over to you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chief Guest. Madam, I Sangma IRS, Director FSSCI, and on all panel members of government establishment, organizations, development partners, and all. Especially collaborating partners for having
Yes, Sangma ji, please carry on. I think there is some technical challenge at your end. आप वीडियो ऑफ करके भी बता सकते हैं.
Other related supports.
You are not audible, sir. So till the time my technical team coordinate with Mr. Sangma, I would now call upon a chief guest. So can we move ahead? Yes. You try logging in again. I'll ask my technical team to coordinate with you. And yes, but it is interrupting, Sangma ji. Can you say a few words? आप बोलिए, then we'll see. Yes. Now we can. Yes. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. So, Madam Chief Guest, Industry Sharma, IRS, the Director FSSCI, and all the panel members of government establishment, ASSOCHAM, development partners. I'd like to thank ASSOCHAM and the collaborating partners for having me in this forum today. And also, I would like to extend my thanks to the FSSCI, led by Madam, who is the chief guest in this meeting, for framing important regulations relating to fortification and leading the fortification intervention with all kind of supports from the FSSCI. Today, regarding fortification, then sharing all their experiences regarding malnutrition scenario in the country and around the world. Some of the experts, they have already spoken, but I'd like to share what we have done so far in the state of Meghalaya regarding fortification of food. So to start with, the activities that we have started on fortification in the state of Meghalaya, we started from mid last year, that is 2019. So the Commissionerate of Food Safety, with technical support from our development partners, GAIN and KSPT started leading the fortification intervention in the state, and then with one-to-one impressions with various departments, those who are implementing the safety net programs. Then the way we start sensitizing the food safety regulators, the officials of the supply department, social welfare department, veterinary department, education departments, and then we organized a sensitization program for the millers, the wholesalers, millers and millers of rice and wheat and other milk processors. So what we have done is we organized training program for the millers. Locally, actually, we do not have oil mills. With regards to oil, what we have done is we have issued instruction from the Commissionerate of Food Safety requesting them to insist on importing fortified oils from outside the state and make it available to the consumers in the state with the fortified oils. And with regards to
You're disconnected, Sangmaji. We are not able to hear you.
Training programs.
Okay.
So on-site training program. Some of the millers they have already installed, but commissioning is taking time because of the pandemic situation prevailing these days. So to make this food fortification more aggressive, a few days back, that is on the 5th October 2020, we had a high-level meeting. The meeting which was chaired by the Chief Secretary of Government of Meghalaya, which was attended by the Director FSSAI, Madam Sharma, who is the chief guest in this meeting, then the Regional Director, and apart from this, we also had the participation of Commissioner and Secretary Health, Social Welfare Department, Secretary of Food, Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs, and the Department of Heads of all other line departments, along with GAIN, KHPT, UN, WFP, PATH, etc. And in the meeting, we had come into some actionable points, and the actionable points were that some of the departments who are having this safety net programs like education and social welfare department, they were asked to include in their safety net programs of MDM and ICDS the wheat flour, edible oil, rice, and salt in their safety net programs. And the Department of Food and Civil Supplies, they were requested to they were asked to expand their basket by including fortified edible oil and salts in the PDES. The Department of Education, Social Welfare, and the Supply Department, Commissioner of Food Safety, they were entrusted to prepare a development action plan with a definite time frame for inclusion of fortified food, all those edible items like edible oil, milk, wheat flour, rice, and salt in their safety net programs. So, in short, we are working on fortification sincerely, and this is what we have done so far in our state. And we look forward to do more in future through knowledge sharing, idea sharing in forums like this, with collaboration of development partners like GAIN, KHPT, WFP, PATH, etc., including the ASSOCHAM, that for their guidance, including the guidance from the FSSAI. With these few words, I think I don't have much to say, and there was some technical problem. I'm very sorry, madam, because I was late in joining. At the same time, there was some glitches in the beginning. And with these few words, I'd like to thank all the panelists, and I would like to thank our director, FSSAI, Madam Inusi Sharma, IRS, who is the chief. And over to Madam.
Thank you so much, Sangmaji.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll definitely be collaborating with you when we do something in Northeast. Meghalaya is part of that, and we'll surely be taking your inputs in moderating that. So I would now request our chief guest now to take upon and share her views. We all understand that FSSAI is contributing a lot in scaling up the fortification of staples, and FFRC has an important role to play in it. Under the leadership of Madam Inusi Sharma, I would now request Inusi ma'am to take over.
Thank you so much. And it's really great that we've got a diverse set of audience here. I was told in the beginning that we've got students, we've got government officials, and we've got representation, of course, from the development partners. So I have this very short PPT to show to everybody, because I thought with this kind of audience, it's always nice, to just tell everybody as to what the government's approach towards fortification is. Next slide, please. A lot of discussion has been done with regards to the micronutrient deficiencies which are prevalent among people. The Food Safety Standards Authority of India, of course, focuses on food safety and hygiene because of the total number of foodborne diseases that we have in the country and the kind of spending that we are doing, which is almost $15 billion a year in terms of the foodborne disease. With that, if you add the additional burden of micronutrient deficiencies and with that the related burden, it's phenomenal. So this is why the entire process of fortification becomes important. Now, a lot of students must be wondering that, one after the other, there are so many people talking about the same thing that it's important. So what is the government actually doing, and how is it possible that we go to the market and we don't see fortified products? So that's something I talk about towards the end. But what I want our students here who are here and the government officials who are present to please keep an open mind when you are listening to this entire discussion as well as the technical sessions, because they actually will provide you a very good understanding of how fortification is actually not a very complicated process, but something which can go in the long way. There are a lot of people who will always say that it's not needed, it's chemicals. There are a lot of people yesterday we had a discussion who was saying that, fortified rice actually was plastic rice. And you'll have amazing number of WhatsApp videos which are so creatively made कि दूध में मेलानिन मिलाया जाता है प्रोटीन इंटेक बढ़ाने के, ये होता है वो होता है, चावल नकली है, अंडे नकली हैं. So it's unbelievable the creative imagination of people. What I would suggest is, if among the students we've got somebody creative, please make a creative WhatsApp on why fortified staples are in fact useful, and please distribute it and even share it with us so that we can promote it. So next, please. So we've got 5 staples which are fortified. We've got salt, oil, milk, wheat flour, and rice. And they are all fortified with different micronutrients because they address the different types of deficiencies that we've got. We are also shortly working on the mandatory fortification of edible oil and milk, which really means that once it is available in the market, any oil, any milk which is packed and it's available will be fortified. So rest assured, you do not really have to bother that is it fortified or not. Right now, if you actually want to make sure your milk or oil is fortified, just look for the +F logo. So for those who are in Delhi, I can say that Mother Dairy, for instance, has milk which is fortified. You can easily see +F. For those of you who are in the rest of the parts of the country, please look out for the milk that you buy from your local cooperative. They would have the +F logo. We are also working on coming out with guidelines and standards for processed food, which should be of a lot of interest to the people from the industry here, but it's still something that we are working on, but it will come out soon. So that would really mean all your bakery items like buns, pastas, biscuits, rusk, noodles, but anything which is not high in salt, fat and sugar can also be fortified. Next, please. This is just by and large the regulations that we created in 2018, which simply says that for any fortification to take place, it has to be between 30 to 50% of the RDA. So a lot of questions that we get is that if a food is fortified or a person is having fortified food throughout the day, so I'm having fortified milk, oil, salt, wheat and rice, will my body actually get over nutrients and will it reach a toxicity level? So no, you do not get it because the RDAs, that means your recommended dietary allowance for the entire day is kept at 30 to 50%. So only 50% at the max will be coming from these staples. The rest you are getting from your other diet that you are having. Next, please. This has been talked about. Next, please. Here I'm just trying to, you can share this PPT. I'm just talking about, how the process of fortification has taken place from 1953 till now. Next, please. In this slide, it basically talked about, various staples which were fortified and how it's already moved on by the Ministry of Women and Child Development and the Ministry of Human Resource Development through their MDM program and the Department of Food through their PDS scheme, and they have incorporated fortified staples. In fact, in a recent meeting which we had with UFPD, they shared a very good news with us in which they said that the education and the Ministry of WCD are ready to bear the cost of the fortified rice which will be provided through this program. And therefore, the scaling up of the fortified rice which will be available in these programs will then, of course, take a big leap. Next, please. So what we are trying to do at FSSAI through the Food Fortification Resource Center is to create awareness among consumers about fortified products. In fact, webinars like this one is exactly that kind of a session where you create awareness about the importance of fortified staples and why you should consume them. And then on the supply side, we also work with producers, distributors, and with the manufacturers of the premix which is added into these staples. Next, please. We work not only with various stakeholders to provide in the government safety net program, but also in the open market. So we got a lot of communication material which we've got. So I would really request people from the industry as well as students to have a look at our website, and that way you can easily get some of the ideas for your own creative designs, and you will also know how we are trying to promote fortified products. Next, please. This is the website for the FFRC. So you can easily log into www.ffrc.gov.in and you can see these 5 circles. These 5 circles represent wheat flour, rice, DFS, double fortified salt, edible oil, and milk. And when you click on any of these circles, you get information about these staples. Next, please. So this is the support that we provide to the industry and states in terms of our notified labs, which are also doing testing of the fortified staples in the market. We are also trying to strengthen our labs and provide training to the personnel so that there is no discrepancy in terms of the lab reports. We also have SOPs for the premix and the SRK suppliers. And we also provide a lot of on-ground technical support to the states in terms of, say, developing tenders or technical assistance in terms of documents. Next, please. This I've mentioned. Next, please. There are a lot of handbooks we've got, FAQs we've got, journals we've got. So all these can be looked into. Next, please. So what are the priority actions for FBOs and food handlers if they are here in this particular time is, of course, the containment of COVID-19 food supply chain. So that is something that we are working on. We are reaching out to all the stakeholders and informing them about the precautions they should take, as well as the safety of their workers who are working in those premises also. Training of food handlers and then also providing outreach activities. Next, please. So during the COVID-19, we created these guidelines. We have Eat Right during COVID-19, which I would recommend people to have a look because it just tells you very simple tips on how you can avoid it. And for the businesses, we've got food hygiene and safety guidelines for businesses during coronavirus, which is again a very nice booklet on how your employees can be protected. Next, please. So we come to the last slide. What is the way ahead? So like I mentioned in the beginning, we have a proposal for the mandatory fortification of oil and milk underway. We are also encouraging processed food manufacturers to undertake fortification. We are doing extensive training of staff on food fortification. We are also in touch with the retail outlets, big retailers, to have a separate section where fortified products can be displayed so that when consumers are coming, they know that this is there. And for the suppliers also, it's a good marketing technique. And we are also trying to work with our development partners on having a pre-mixed quality check and sampling. So with that, I would like to end here, and I hope all of you have a wonderful session. You've got extremely knowledgeable people who will be taking the technical session. I'm a very recent person who's joined FSSAI, and I mean, I feel very humbled that, you made me the chief guest. I don't know what to say about that, but thank you so much.
For joining us, ma'am. And we'll like to update you on the activities of ASSOCHAM and the initiatives of ASSOCHAM and Hexagon Nutrition in this field. And as I mentioned, that we'll be taking up to the state level as well. So it will be our honor to update you and have you on board as and when, whenever you are, as per your convenience. So thank you so much for your joining now. Thank you. So now, ladies and gentlemen, may I now have your attention to an incredible woman who has inspired and supported the sector for last 5 decades. A guidance, technical assistance, contribution and support to the ongoing agenda of food fortification has been remarkable across the states. She has led many innovative nutrition and public health projects and programs such as CMAM, stable food fortification, salt iodization, nutrition and health education. And as a member of various professional bodies, several national and state level committees, and advisory board, she has made some important contributions to the formulation of national and state level nutrition and public health policies. She is none other than Ms. Deepti Gulati, the head programs GAIL. We also have got a few bites about her, contribution from different stakeholders. I would request our IT team to run those slides, please. We are not able to hear, Anup, we are not able to hear Mr. Tarun.
Fortification. Today is a day of recognition. Congratulations, Deepti. And thank you, ASSOCHAM, for bestowing this honor on Deepti Gulati, GAIL's head of programs, for her contributions over 4 decades in the field of nutrition, alleviation of malnutrition, and stable food fortification. Today is a day of recognition and celebration to Deepti, but also a day of reflection for all of us as to how important nutrition champions are to catalyze large-scale social change. ASSOCHAM, by honoring a nutrition champion on your platform, you also have highlighted the extreme importance of private sector businesses, governments, nutrition professionals, and development sector partners to work together in cohesion so as to be able to eliminate malnutrition from India during our lifetimes. Thank you once again.
Next slide, please. Anu?
Good afternoon. Which have now been expanded to more than 20 states in the country and are permitted. She has zero achievement. I feel congratulations.
I now request Dr. Ranjan Shankar, he is the Program Director of Nutrition, to share his views. Okay, I think he might have left. Yeah,
Good
please,
evening.
Dr. Ranjan. Yes, please carry on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to commend ASSOCHAM for organizing this wonderful webinar. It's very unfortunate that because of a conflict in schedule, I'm unable to join fully. But when the organizers asked me that and said that they're commending Deepti Gulati, and I was invited to say a few words, I just couldn't let that go. I readily accepted it. It's, Deepti, I've known Deepti for over 20-25 years, and all through, in several forms, we've been collaborating on important public health problems. And I also had the good fortune of working with Deepti in GAIN as colleagues for several years. And the journey continues, and I can assure you it's an extraordinary privilege for me. I can talk on several facets of Deepti, as many of you very clearly mentioned, and we know, her record is there to really very clearly say how her achievements. All of us realize that nutrition science is full of, pilots and full of things that have been proven to work very well under controlled conditions. But the real problem is taking these proven interventions to scale, and there the context is crucial. And that is where I have learned a lot from Deepti, and I can say that her record will vouch for her achievements. She has really taken several programs, not only food fortification, today being the seminar is addressing on staple food fortification. I can say that she has been part of every one of the scale-up of large-scale food fortifications that has happened in this country. In 2008-9, we started the integrated program strategy in Rajasthan. She laid the foundations for milk fortification, and I'm sure my colleague Virubhai Karora may talk more about it as how it has scaled up. It was 2010 that she started this milk fortification in Rajasthan. We had an integrated program strategy in Rajasthan which looked at fortifying foods that go through commercial channels as well as all the public funded programs. And that laid a template that is being taken, modified, and it's going to scale. And I can go on and on, but it's just to say that from her time in the government, UN, WFP, and then with GAIN, the journey continues, and I hope and wish that she's there to contribute and inspire a lot of people for years to come. That is just the technical aspect of it, but I must also say that all of us have a lot to learn from her on what is the right work-life balance, what is the way to be with friends and colleagues. I wish you all the very best, and I commend ASSOCHAM for, as Tarun said, really commending and applauding a great leader. Thank you very much and wish you all the best.
Thank you for your kind words. So in view of her indispensable contribution, ASSOCHAM feels pleasure in felicitating Ms. Deepti with Outstanding Ambassador of Nutrition and Fortification Award for her 40 years of contribution in the sector. Thank you so much, ma'am. We look forward to more years, more contribution from you in the sector. So, Anu, can we have the video, please? Thank you very much, Riddhi ma'am, for kindly accepting us, and we look forward to more, more such accolades for you, and wish you all the best. I request a big round of applause from everyone. And as a chairperson for the next session, I hand over the session to Ms. Deepti Gulati. Over to you, ma'am.
Excuse me, Nirupama, I just wanted to say something. I think Sharika wanted to say something here yesterday.
With her, so she can mention it. I think we can. Sharika, would you like to?
No, I just wanted to perhaps take a minute to also put on record my deepest sense of appreciation for Deepti ji. She's somebody that I've learned a lot from in the field of food fortification, and I'm sure there's lots that I can still learn from her. And for all those who don't know, apart from the exceptional attributes that she has in the technical field, in the professional field, as well as in terms of on-ground implementation, she has an excellent sense of humor. So for all those who don't know about her excellent sense of humor, please follow her on Facebook. She has an amazing sense of humor and amazing PJs and advice to give. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Sharika. And now I hand over to Ms. Deepti.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm so humbled and I'm so touched, I can't tell you. And ASSOCHAM, giving a word is one thing, but doing this piece on me and getting all the mentors and my colleagues to say a few words, I really don't know how to say thanks. And I'm at a loss of words. And all I can say is a big thank you. And it's very little that I have done, and you've recognized that. And I promise I will continue to work with even greater enthusiasm and spirit and work with all the partners. And I'm very grateful to you, Dr. Shankar, because I treat him as my guru. He's the one who initiated me into food fortification in a big way that has made a difference. And of course, to all my colleagues in Paustik Network and outside who have really provided a lot of support to me. Of course, family is always there. My mother-in-law, my husband, my children, my own mother, who helped me to fulfill my dream. But things will not happen if your colleagues and other partners do not support you in your work arena. So I'm very grateful, everyone. In all my 40 years, I've got very good support. I've been working actually for 43 years now. 3 years were with teaching the university students, and then of course in the government and development sector. And I've got a lot of support, and I really thank everyone for that. So now,
deserve it. And we really look forward to your guidance and future endeavors as well. So I now request you to chair the session and take forward the next session.
Thank you so much. Yes, I take a deep breath and get back to speaking sensibly without emotions right now and moderate a panel discussion. And to everyone, I just want to say one thing, that we have a very eminent panel of speakers today representing various key development sector organizations such as PATH, Nutrition International, Tata Trust, WFP, and of course GAIN. All these partner organizations have collectively contributed substantially to scaling up staple food fortification in India and have worked very closely with FSSAI and several key ministries in the Government of India and their allied departments at the state level to scale up fortification and to bring about a very positive change in the health and nutrition profile of people of India. You would be surprised that the total collective work experience of this panel in the area of nutrition and public health is, guess what? 147 years. So you have a very eminent panel who would be talking about various aspects. Now, in the beginning, everyone was talking about how it is important to have staple foods, fortified, and mainstreaming them into the public funded programs. One of the key organizations that has been working very diligently in mainstreaming fortified staples into public health programs is World Food Program. And I would request Sharika to share with us her experience. But before I go into that, I would like to introduce the panel members to you. So we begin with the youngest panel member that we have, and the youngest panel member is Suresh Lakshmi Narayan. He is the National Program Manager at the Nutrition International, and he is leading the food fortification portfolio for India Country Office. He has a very rich, diverse work experience of about 10 years. Currently, he is working with FSSAI and the departments or various departments of Government of India and state governments of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat for scaling up food fortification in food safety net programs. Sharika Yunus is a medical doctor and a public health professional. Currently, she is working as the head of the Nutrition and School Feeding Program at World Food Program Office in India. She has a rich experience of over 15 years in public health, and she has, to her credit, several research papers and various national and which have been published in various national and international journals. Then we have a very eminent country director, Mr. Neeraj Jain, who heads PATH, India Country Office, and he's been leading PATH since June 2016. Earlier, he was the CEO of WaterAid. He oversees the strategic and programmatic engagement and financial operations for a matrix of global and in-country programs implemented by PATH offices in India, including nutrition. Neeraj comes with over 27 years of leadership experience across business development, marketing, and strategic management in organizations across Asia and Europe. And we have our very own Vivek Arora, who's a senior advisor with Tata Trust in India, and he works on malnutrition and food fortification. Earlier, Vivek Arora was the CEO of Indian business leading global lipid-based nutrition supplement manufacturing unit, and his help at that time, his product, helped to bring down the levels of severe acute malnutrition in Rajasthan. He has a work experience of over 25 years. And then we have Mr. Arun Umlal, who is not a part of the panel per se, but he would be making a very interesting presentation to you after the panel discussion. Mr. Arun Umlal is the Vice President of Hexagon Nutrition. He has a rich experience of 26 years, of which 10 years are in the nutrition and food fortification sector. His belief in practical and team leadership helped him to lead and build a well-known brand like Himalayan Mineral Water, Evian, and Murphy Richards, and also he is now working with Hexagon Nutrition. He has been conferred with Best Healthcare Entrepreneur Award by Healthcare and Fitness Leadership Award under the valuable guidance. Under his valuable guidance, Hexagon Nutrition has won Best Nutrition Company Award in 2017 by ASSOCHAM Nutrition Food and Safety Award in 2017. I may have fumbled a little, but you can understand I was very emotional. So we start with the panel discussion, and in the panel discussion, we have, as I mentioned, very eminent speakers. But first, I would like to request Sharika to tell us about her experience of working with the food safety net program. Then we will come to other commodity-specific programs a little later. So, Sharika, would you like to enlighten us why and how can social food safety net programs in India be leveraged for fortification?
Well, thanks a lot for that question, Deepti ji. And I'd like to begin by thanking ASSOCHAM for giving WFP the opportunity to share some of its perspective on
Sharika, I think your video may not work. So would you like to switch on to the audio? Sharika, are you there? I think there's some problem with Sharika, bandwidth and with her audio and video. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Ma'am, we can move on to the next speaker till then. Sharika, ma'am.
Yeah. I'm just asking, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we can hear you very clearly. Yeah.
Okay. Then we will come back to Sharika as and when she can join in. But we would, as a panel discussion, we would go around the speakers, and I would start with Suresh. And I would like him to share with us his experience of supporting double fortified salt program in Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. So Suresh, would you like to enlighten us with your experiences on DFS?
Sure. Thank you so much, Deepti ji. And first of all, congratulations on the award. And as a youngest member, I have also learned a lot from you, and there's still a lot more to learn. So thank you so much for being there with us. Back to the question. So we are supporting the state governments of Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh for implementing double fortified salt programs. Double fortified salt is being successfully implemented in these two states. And I would like to talk about few success factors that actually helped this program run successfully, and also they are running up to a scale. So that also needs a mention. So the first of it's the political commitment and also the will of the states to implement and also to prioritize nutrition amongst the other issues. So they have in fact, the commitment has been demonstrated. The programs were launched by the chief ministers. Both the states launched the program with the chief ministers. And also the states have been constantly committing budgets annually, recurrently, since 2018, and they have ensured that there is uninterrupted supply of double fortified salt across the programs. In Madhya Pradesh, the scope of the program is 89 tribal blocks, which is across 20 districts, and through PDS. And in the Gujarat, it is through the ICDS, where pregnant women, lactating women, and also adolescent girls are given 1 kilogram of double fortified salt packet in addition to their take-home ration, and children are served with hot cooked meals served with double fortified salt. So we could see that the political commitment is pretty high there. And another important point that both the state governments have taken, that we are all today, almost all staple foods are also challenged with, is on the awareness part. It is very important that the state informs the beneficiaries on what kind of product and what is the value add that the product is being given. Many a times through the social safety net programs, because the additional budget is generally borne by the government, for the consumer, they think that the value addition is not being appreciated. So it is important that they have a specific IEC or a communication campaign where they inform what this product brings about and why the consumer should have this product. Especially the social safety net programs serve the most vulnerable women and children. It is important they have high nutrition needs, so it is important to inform them that this can bring them out of anemia and other micronutrient deficiencies. So both the states, both the states.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing what wonderful work DFS is doing to improve, and what has been your high commitment engaging with the government as well as the industry and the community. Now, similar is a success story of rice fortification, because it is really scaling up very well, and every day in the newspapers we are having a write-up or a news about rice fortification. So who better than Mr. Neeraj Jain to be telling us about how effective is rice fortification in combating malnutrition, what is the scientific evidence that has been generated, and what are the studies that have been conducted in school children, because both double fortified salt, fortified rice, and fortified wheat flour help in combating anemia, which impacts 53% of India's population, in women population in the age group of 15 to 45 years, and also 23% of men are anemic. So over to Neeraj, please.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Deepti. I really am. I just overwhelmed for the acknowledgement that has given you. Absolutely deserved. And I'm not getting the physical presence because I would have given you a big hug at this point. So virtual hugs for now.
I did it.
And congratulations. I also want to say that, you've got all these panelists, but actually you could have talked about all of this by yourself and probably have known more than me and Suresh and Sharika and everybody put together. So, you could have actually provided more information. But since we're here and since I have the mic now, I think, rice fortification is actually a critical one. And of course, also because, I've been working on this now for 20 years in India, starting from the very first pieces of research that got done. We did research with NIN as well as DBT. The evidence needed to be there. So, it's been a long ride for us. Over the last 20 years, and we've managed to get to a stage where we have enough evidence which proves that rice fortification is a good, it's a good option for tackling anemia. In terms of effectiveness of the studies that we've done, just to give some numbers here, we've seen anemia decline by about 10%. We've seen 9% decline of underweight children. We've seen 3.8% decline in stunting. We've seen 3% decline in diarrhea and 42% improvement in cognitive scores. Of course, this is in a school situation. This is also, we can't say 100% attributed to just fortification because we also had, sanitation and everything was happening at the same time. So this is not like a RCT, but it clearly shows us that fortification is absolutely key. Now, when it comes to rice per se, it's a very interesting thing. I've only been in this industry or in this work for the last 4 years, unlike your 4 decades. But to take rice and to reformulate grains and to mix it all together and be able to reach the population sounds like a complex kind of a job. But if you look at the way that this is structured, and if you look at how there is really very limited amount of consumer behavior change, in fact, practically no consumer behavior change, whether it's fortified or not fortified rice, that really makes it very, very useful. I think just to also say that, in terms of tackling anemia through our public distribution systems, rice is a large part of that basket. Rice is there, wheat is there. Unfortunately, wheat fortification is still not, we still don't have the solutions. And wheat flour fortification wheat flour doesn't go through the PDS typically. So, changing that PDS structure is a bit of a challenge. Salt is very limited through the PDS. So, you've really got only rice as that sort of vehicle through which you could reach large numbers, reach them fairly quickly, and have large-scale population impact. For the audience, I think the PDS reaches about 800 million people, which is, about 70, almost 65-70% of our population. So it could be easy, but supply chain is complex. So I'm going to stop there.
Thank you so much. And I must say, my 4 decades fall very short of your 4 years in the way rice fortification has scaled up. And heartiest congratulations to you because this is something very good. As far as wheat flour fortification is concerned, I must add that when you heard the earlier speakers, Himachal is universally giving fortified wheat flour, Kerala is giving, Tripura is on the verge, and we are working with many state governments because Haryana is also giving in certain districts selected districts. Punjab is going to adopt that also, of course, in a limited manner to see how it takes off and then scale up. So we are very hopeful that wheat flour would also be scaled up, but certainly it cannot match the rice because of its very nature. So we are very happy that rice fortification is scaling up, because at the end of it, what we want is health of people. So we've also been working in milk fortification and alongside with Tata Trust. So may I request Vivek now to share with us, how is milk contributing to address the issue of vitamin A and D deficiency at the population level? Because these days, when you talk of immunity, you always think of vitamin A and D. And what best to get it from milk, which is considered as a very good food and a very, it's a very comforting food also. So over to you, Vivek.
Thank you, Deepti ji. Milk is something which is always considered healthy. So there is no question in the mind when a mother, when you ask a mother, will you give a glass full of milk to the child? And the answer is always yes. And at population level, it is also an effective medium to carry the fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A and D. Particularly, A, we have lot many other sources also to get vitamin A. But particularly if you talk about D, vegetarian people have very limited sources to get vitamin D. And when we say milk is a good carrier, but across India, what I have seen, that unfortified milk, I've hardly found any vitamin D in milk because of the processing or because of the way the milk is transported after milk into the dairy industry. So you do not find that vitamin D. And it's very important that if you want the milk to carry this vitamin D for the nourishment of the people, it needs to be fortified.
Absolutely.
Now, at population level, when we did the landscape across India, we saw that this industry is divided fairly in between the cooperative and the private sector. So each one has its 50% share of the market. And we thought that cooperative is more organized, and so we took the partnership of NDDB and took forward the milk fortification initiative in the cooperatives across India. And I am proud to say that as on date, as we speak, 175 lakh liters of milk is getting fortified across India in 26 states. And about 175 to 176 dairies are associated in fortifying this milk. So you go across in any state, you will be able to get the fortified milk. And on the front of the pack, they all are displaying the SEF logo.
Yes.
Nevertheless, actually the FSSAI standard only allows certain variants of milk to get fortified, which is like skimmed, toned, double toned, and standardized milk. So we still have cow milk and full cream milk, and the Gazette notification is underway. So as soon as that happens, we will have further more share of milk that can be fortified. The infrastructure is already created, and just the Gazette mere notification of it will make the milk reach more people immediately. Also, we can see that after the cooperatives adopted it and the product was visible in the market, the private dairies also started following the suit, and then they also started fortifying milk, and we see a large number of private dairies now fortifying all their variants of milk. Big brands, small brands, regional brands, they're all fortifying, and then they are coming in and joining the bandwagon actually. We also, what we did for to understand the effectiveness, whether this works or not. So what we did was we did a small study with school children for 3 months, and we provided them 1/3 of the RDA in the milk for vitamin D. And what we saw that in the winter months in Delhi, they did not slip down on their vitamin D count. whereas in the control group, it went down by 4 to 5 nanograms. So it in a way, it helps you maintain your levels of vitamin D. It's a complementary strategy, which, as a staple food, if you consume every day, you will be able to maintain your vitamin D and vitamin A levels. So with this, I'll put rest, handing back over to you.
Thank you so much, and I think you very well stated. And here I also want to add that GAIN is also working in the milk fortification domain, and we are working both with the private sector as well as the cooperatives. And as Dr. Shankar had mentioned, we started with Saras Dairy and Rajasthan Cooperative Dairy Federation, and they started fortifying their milk. And they started fortifying their milk with vitamin A and D way back in 2011-12, and they've continued at their own cost even when we phased out. And that also led to the adoption of milk fortification by all the dairies that were there in Rajasthan. Similarly, we have been working a lot, like from GAIN, on oil fortification, and we are reaching almost 854 million people across India, almost 67% of the population with adequately fortified edible oil. We again, oil fortification, as Dr. Shankar mentioned, with the IPS program, it started in Rajasthan. I'm not saying that we can claim, but there is a very good data from the Comprehensive National Nutrition Survey, which shows that at all India level, vitamin A deficiency in children 5 years to 19 years is between 15 to 21.5%. And very happy to share that in Rajasthan, vitamin A deficiency in the same age group, that is 5 years to 19 years, is merely 1 to 1.5%. Even though they are not taking vitamin A supplements through the ICDS to the level at the national, which has the national average, it is much below. Yet, if the vitamin A deficiency levels across the population groups in the Comprehensive National Nutrition Survey shows such a remarkable reduction, perhaps, I would say perhaps, that fortifying milk and fortifying oil and their consumption at almost the entire state level may have contributed to this decline. Similarly, I would also like to say that we had been working on wheat flour fortification, and when we were working on wheat flour fortification in PDS in Rajasthan way back in 2012 to 2014, we had this National Family Health Survey data, which was collected in 2015-16. And what we found was that the anemia levels in Rajasthan were 7% lower than the national average, even though the iron folic acid tablets, weekly iron folic acid tablet consumption was much lower, and of course dietary diversity was also much lower. So again, perhaps fortification of wheat flour that was provided through the PDS across the state of Rajasthan may have helped. So food fortification, and specifically if we are able to mainstream this through the public funded programs, through the social safety net programs like the PDS, ICDS, MDM, does help. So taking this cue further, may I just ask Suresh to tell us what would be the role of stakeholders in scaling up food fortification? And then of course we will discuss how different organizations perceive their role. But over to Suresh, what according to you would be the role of various stakeholders in scaling up food fortification? Because we are all here, all stakeholders are here, and it's a responsibility on each one of us. Over to Suresh.
Thank you so much, Deepti, and I think you already started with the answer. So we are all here, and it's our responsibility, and fortification is a multi-stakeholder approach. I think today, the previous speakers also had a lot of talk, and I think we can draw a lot of cue. Like FSSAI had talked about how they are promoting the regulatory framework, and they're putting in place the regulations and also supporting and aiding the fortification program. Similarly, we also heard from Vikram that how the industry is panning out and how industry is kind of coming in and helping it. for scaling up rice, for scaling up food fortification, not only rice but also other staple foods. So there are two major players. One is the industry, and other one is on the government. So these both are two important stakeholders, and the third important stakeholder are the consumers or the beneficiaries of social safety net program. So from the government side, they are doing their best to promote fortification. They're making it. They're making legislations and regulations, and also allocating budgets. And from the industry is also gearing up, be it rice, DFS, or oil, or milk, or other products. They are able to cope up with the requirements of the fortification, and they are also trying to deliver best quality fortified staples. So and there is still a lot more to happen, even in rice, even in DFS, in oil and milk. I'm sure it has come to a better stage now. But at least for rice, wheat flour, and DFS, there is still a long way to go. With the industry needs to come in and pitch in and do it. And similarly, with the consumers, it is important for us to go to understand a lot more about fortification, and also participate in these kind of forums to understand what is the correct fortification, and also spread the right word around fortification, instead of spreading a lot of rumors around products and fortification and others. It is important to always go to the right source. Like FSSAI has a website wherein FAQs are available. So it is important for us to do the due diligence before buying any product, and also look for nutrition product. I think the narrative around buying a product, especially food product, should change. It should be more nutrition. It should be more about nutrition at the best value than just at the best value. So that is something that we should do as a consumer. With that, I will give it back to you, Deepti ji.
Thank you so much. And Sharika did mention that I have a funny sense of humor. So let me add that please don't keep calling me Deepti ji. I know G stands for Gulati. Okay. So I'm happy being called Deepti itself. Now, while we were talking about the importance of consumers, and reaching out to the consumers and telling them about the importance of fortified products. Most of the fortified products people are anyway consuming at a very small cost. One commodity which is consumed a little less at the bottom of the pyramid is milk. So may I request Vivek to give us his view on how can fortified milk contribute to improving the nutrition of children, specifically at the bottom of the pyramid? Because they are the ones which we need to reach out the most. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Deepti. It's a very relevant question, that milk is something for the children and how it can contribute to the nutrition. So, there have been talks going on now about providing breakfast to the children in the midday meal scheme. So, midday meal scheme, if you look at it, they only provide one meal at say 11:30 or 12. And across the nation, when we went around, we always saw that, the children are coming empty stomach to the school. And you won't believe that in a city like Delhi and good schools also, in a class there were 7 to 10 children who had not eaten anything in the morning, and they just had come to the school. Not because they cannot afford it maybe, but they just don't eat it. So, also, a glass of milk helps, focus. And if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, maybe you don't know even if they got, the last night they got a full meal or not, you're not very sure of. So what we are suggesting that in the midday meal, they should also, add up a glass of milk in the morning for the breakfast, which will not only provide which will address the hunger part of it, but will also, make them carry themselves till 11:30 by the time they get the midday meal. Also, when this milk is fortified with vitamin A and D, this also will take care of their micronutrients. So, all in all, the infrastructure does exist. The cooperatives are capable of providing this milk at a very reasonable price to all the government schools. There is a scheme by NDDB, which is called a gift milk scheme, where today 60,000 children across the country are getting a glass of milk every day in the morning at 8 o'clock. And we've seen very good results of that one glass of milk. A study was done by Ranchi Medical Science Institute, and they observed that there was improvement not only in the attendance, but their, concentration, the focus also improved, and the performance over the year improved. So I would say that, if adopted, this can contribute very well to the nutrition of the children, which are the future of our nation. So
I think thank you so much. Thank you so much for really talking and giving the idea about gift milk and what NDDB is doing. And we could also encourage a lot of CSR initiatives who in their area could support children with a glass of milk, if not every day, at least 3 times a week. Perhaps that could also make a little bit of difference. And I fully agree with you that even in the best schools, but mostly in the rural areas and the tribal areas, children do come to schools on an empty stomach. And here I also want to just anecdotally add that when I was working with WFP, we had initiated this project with the support of Britannia, wherein they specifically, brought out the Tiger biscuit, which is Iron Shakti biscuit, which was given to children as the first thing in the morning when they come to school. And that did help to, in their concentration, because a hungry stomach actually cannot wait to learn. But back to some of the staples which can easily be into the, food systems. So may I take further advice from Neeraj on how does PATH envision the future of rice fortification in India? What are the challenges? Because I know, relatively speaking, rice may be a little easy compared to wheat. But what are the challenges? What are the current steps and future strategies for scale up for rice fortification? Because we do see a lot of hope as well as commitment and intent from the government. So over to Neeraj, please.
Thanks, Diti. And you're right. The commitment from government is unprecedented. Whether this is too long, people have worked in the to get to. Or are you getting some disturbance?
It's breaking. Yeah, it's breaking.
Okay, let me try again. So just coming back to rice, the total. So we are focusing on the government safety net program. There are about 3.5 crore tons of rice which is distributed through the public distribution system every year, of which you're targeting about 800 million population through PDS, and within that you have midday meal about 79 million and midday meal about 93 million and ICDS another 79 million people who are actually getting access to rice. So this is in that sense, it looks very, very great and good platform itself. In terms of cost, to be able to fortify this entire rice piece is going to cost the government only about 2,500 crores a year. So, we've been working with the Department of Food Supplies, we've been working with FFRC and FSSAI, also with FCI on figuring out what this is going to cost. And FSSAI has been fantastic. I mean, Arun, who's the CEO, has actually now put in a request from the Ministry of Finance to be able to fund some of this work, to be able to scale it up. Niti Aayog, recently we had a meeting, again, they're very, very much sort of on the ball on this one. The challenge with rice is the fortification process. So over the last few years, what PATH has been doing really is, when I came to PATH about 4 years ago, there was one manufacturer of rice kernels in India. We are now at 10 manufacturers, another 13 or 14 in the pipeline. So the quantity of manufacturing has been going up continuously. Also, the blending systems were very expensive. We tried to bring those costs down because it's essentially going to be a cost issue. How are you going to be able to bring the cost down to improve access? So that's already happening. Government is very keen that in the next 2 to 3 years, at least the safety net programs all the rice is fortified, and that becomes mandatory. And I think for the first time, actually, just this week or last week, we noticed that all three departments are aligned. They all want to go ahead and do it. We've helped them with the policy side of it. We've helped them with looking at supply chain mechanisms. We've, of course, not by ourselves. Tata Trust is part of it. NI is part of it. WFP, of course, is leading on some of these conversations. But we've actually, together as a partnership, managed to give them enough information for them to take those decisions.
Yeah.
So the future for me is that, the future is trying to be able to reach, and this is the bottom of the pyramid. So if you are able to get fortified rice to this population, we'll see dramatic changes in anemia levels and also cognitive development.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And since you very rightly mentioned that in most of the cases when we are talking about food safety net programs, WFP is leading, and we do see Sharika here back on the panel. So Sharika, may I please request you to share with us how food safety net programs are so important and how we can use and leverage these food safety net programs to improve nutrition. And also please share with us, what are the challenges you come across, because you keep meeting all the stakeholders, including the policymakers, in scaling up staple food fortification through the food safety net programs. So over to Sharika, please.
Thanks a lot, Deepti ji, and fingers crossed I don't drop off this time. For some reason, I've had a very choppy connection at my end. I think it's been amply spoken that the social safety nets are the best bet that we have in India because of the reach to reach the bottom of the pyramid and so the PDS, the MM, ICD are a part of the National Food Security Act, and therefore incumbent upon governments to continue to provide grains through the food-based safety net. So it's a system that already is. It just needs to be piggybacked upon or leveraged better to ensure that fortified foods are provided through it. I'll perhaps dwell a bit more on the challenges of providing fortified staples through the social safety net. So the first challenge which comes to my mind is about the supply chain. So the supply chain is not a monolith structure that we have in India. Each state has its own supply chain. The supply chain may be slightly, so each state has its own supply chain. Then we also have the complication of where some states in the country are rice producers in surplus, and some countries bank on those rice producing states to receive their rice. So that's one issue. How do you make these huge amounts of rice move from one state to another? They're already moving as a part of the supply chain, but while moving, you fortify them at source, or where exactly in the supply chain do you fortify it? With wheat, as Neeraj mentioned, because the wheat is usually provided in the food-based safety net as wheat grains, and the milling is left at the grassroots level to either the schools or the Anganwadi centers or to the consumers of the PDS to get milled at their own speed and at their own requirements through the local millers. Now, if you want to provide fortified wheat flour, then you need to pull it out of the system, mill it, fortify it, and then push it back into the system. So supply chain is a challenge that needs to be looked at. It may be a challenge, but I think moving forward, we've been able to address the challenge. Another issue that we often talk about is that in the government schemes, when these grains are flowing, they usually stay in the godowns, in the Food Corporation of India godowns for years on end. And once you fortify it, there's this issue of the shelf life. So the shelf life is slightly shorter. If you talk about fortified wheat flour, it's about 45 days. But when you talk about fortified rice, it's about 18 to 24 months. And there's more recent evidence emerging on that. But this issue, which is a challenge of the shelf life, it can also become an opportunity. Because if your shelf life is small, then you need to really move it quickly through your supply chain, which then also takes care of the pilferages and the leakages that we oftentimes know that the government food-based safety nets are fraught with. The other issue is of costing, which Neeraj alluded to. Just want to also talk about the fact that under the NFSA, there are huge subsidies that the government already gives to the community. So rice and wheat need to go either at 2 or 3 rupees. And the Act puts an upper level, or you can't exceed that. So oftentimes, if you're fortifying it, it's governments who need to absorb the cost of fortification, because you cannot pass on the cost of fortification to the community.
Sharika, it seems we lost you again.
I think there is some network connectivity.
Yeah. I think by and large, if I can just finish off what Sharika was saying, if she's not coming back, that yes, there are challenges and these are also the opportunities, because each challenge also provides an opportunity. Fortified rice and rice per se has a much longer shelf life. Wheat grain as a grain has a long shelf life, but as wheat flour, it has a very low shelf life because of the moisture content, which is about 12%. And if you reduce the moisture content, that does not really make it viable. So what happens is that wheat flour, if fortified and provided through PDS, needs to move very quickly. Many states are gearing up for that, and we really thank and we are very obliged to those states who are putting fortified wheat flour into the PDS system. And the same is the case with having fortified wheat flour into the midday meal program, because in ICDS, basically wheat flour is hardly ever used. It is more of rice, which if fortified would be the best thing to do. And I personally feel that if we are able to mainstream fortified rice and fortified wheat flour to whatever extent possible through the PDS system, all the three systems will benefit, because ICDS, MDM would be able to get their share and their quota of fortified products from the PDS, which is there in every village. Hence, the network of PDS can be actually leveraged very well to even reach out to the MDM and ICDS. So I think, is Sharika, are you there? Looks like Sharika is not there, even though her icon shows. But since she's not able to connect, and I think we've had very good discussions on staple food fortification, all aspects, oil, wheat flour, milk, rice, as well as double fortified salt. And we've explored all the possible options that we could use to scale up and reach fortified food commodities to the consumers, so that the health improvement is there visible in the population of India. So with that, I think I would like to thank each and every panelist for being there, for giving such candid views, sharing their very wonderful experience and how they have been able to make a lot of difference to improve the quality of fortified staples, through fortification, so that our India no longer has to suffer the tag of malnourished nation. So thank you so much, every one of you. Now we have a very important special address by Mr. Arun Umlal, who is the Vice President of Hexagon Nutrition, because whatever fortification we do, fortification can only be as good as the premixes are. If the quality of premix is poor, if the quality of premix is not assured, then fortification, whatever effort we may put in, comes to a naught. So Hexagon in the beginning had shown, before we started, what they are doing, not just in India, but globally. So may I please request Mr. Arun Umlal to give his special address on the pivotal role of micronutrient premixes in fortification. So welcome, Arun, to talk about a very, very important aspect.
Good evening, all my friends. Thank you very much, Dipti ji. Thank you, ASSOCHAM, for giving me an opportunity to talk about micronutrient premixes and fortification. And congratulations to you, Dipti ji, for getting the award which you well deserve. And bless you with everything.
Thank you.
I have very limited time to talk about fortification, so I'll restrict my discussion and my communication on micronutrients. The eminent panel and the speakers have given and emphasized more on the macro part of the nutrition. I will emphasize more on the micro part of nutrition and tell my audience as to how micronutrient premixes are made and why they are very important and why do I call them the heart of fortification. Next slide, please. So basically the key takeaways of my message or of this program or basically of this presentation would be I'll be talking about Hexagon Nutrition, which is a premium micronutrient formulation manufacturer. As to on what behalf is Hexagon Nutrition talking about micronutrients. The significant accreditation that is required for a premix manufacturer, the R&D involved in creating micronutrient formulation and the quality control and the quality assurances which are there. And the final but a very must point is the analytical, the tests which are to be taken into the micronutrient nutrients as well as the food application. So let me basically start by saying who we are in terms of Hexagon Nutrition. Yeah. I think I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Next slide, please. Like I've been saying, micronutrients is basically the heart of fortification. It is the central point of food fortification because without micronutrients, fortification is just not complete. Fortification is basically the add-on of vitamins and minerals that we put into our food products to provide the balanced micronutrient and the macronutrients as per the RDA level which has been specified by FSSAI through the gadgets of 2018 and 19. So micronutrients, like I said, heart basically talks about milk fortification. I've talked about oil fortification, salt, rice, wheat, which has been already spoken by my eminent panel, and they have communicated the advantages of these stable fortifications. I will also emphasize on food application fortification, which is there, which is as per the RDA levels as specified by FSSAI. So there is a lot of fortification happening in the beverage industry, the health drink industry, snacks industry. We are talking about the dairy industry and the seasoning industry as such, which I will talk in detail in my next slide. So yes, fortification is happening apart from staples in the normal food applications also, and it has picked up in the last 6 months during the pandemic. So people have understood the importance of a nutritious diet and are consuming fortified food. Next slide. This picture basically connotes a family who's consuming food on either on a breakfast table or a lunch table or a dinner table, and basically it includes the fortified food. So I'm talking about if the lady is eating paratha, she's talking about fortified flour because the paratha is made from fortified flour, and ghee not yet touched upon, but yes, in the near future, fortified ghee is going to come in thanks to FSSAI for the notifications and specifications. Fortified beverages is there in the market. We are talking about fortified breakfast cereals. We are talking about fortified juices, jams, jellies, and gummies. So the entire package is for a family in terms of food application is now being fortified and provided to them in terms of nutritious food. Next slide. I will take on if there are any questions later on.
Yeah.
So on what basis am I talking about? I'm talking about Hexagon. Hexagon being in the market now for the last 29 years. It's a nutraceutical company with strong focus on research and development and manufacture practices. Hexagon Nutrition operates in about 3 verticals. So we are into micronutrient formulations, we are into clinical nutrition, and we are into therapeutic food manufacturing, which again the detailing I will touch upon in my later slides to come in. Our experts, basically we have got an expertise into product development and research. We have got expertise into analyzing not only the nutrients which are coming in, but even the final products which are going out through our analyzer brackets. Next slide. So in one slide, I have just communicated as to what Hexagon Nutrition is all about. On the left-hand side, I'm talking about food fortification that we prepare premixes for and individual nutrients also for the marketplace. On my right-hand side is the different food applications which we do, which is for infant and clinical nutrition. We are talking about biscuits and dairy. We are talking about beverages. We are talking about gummies and jellies and nutritional bars, which have come in a bigger way. We are talking about a clinical nutrition wherein our flagship brand, which is Pentasure, Obisigo, and Pediagold, which is there, which is basically there in all the right hospitals of the world and of India. Next slide. Something more about Hexagon Nutrition. In fact, we operate these verticals that we manufacture from our 3 different manufacturing units, starting from Nasik, which is the oldest, then Chennai and Tuticorin. We basically have our R&D center in Nasik, wherein all our premixes and nutrients and the clinical nutrition products are R&D at that level, and then only it comes out in the marketplace for the consumption. Next slide. Well, this is a pictorial slide of the plants which we are there and R&D center, which is there in Nasik. Next slide. These are some of the accreditations which are required for a micronutrient manufacturer, thanks to FSSAI for conducting the third-party audit starting from January, which was very much required apart from the online certifications, and that is a must. I've been saying that it should be audited like GAIN facilities are audited or UNICEF facilities are audited in terms of the manufacturing plant. You need to have an FSSAI license, which is a must. You need to have a good manufacturing practice license, because without good manufacturing practice, the right type of products cannot come out. You need to have an FSSC 22000 certificate which demonstrates that your company is robust in terms of food safety management system. We have ISO 9001:2015, which is a must for all micronutrient manufacturers. You need to have an ISO SE 17025:2005, which is required for the in-house lab or an external lab that you have for analyzing your input material as well as for output material. So these are important certifications, accreditations which are required for a nutraceutical industry or a micronutrient manufacturing industry, and the kosher certificate. Yeah, next slide. I'll just touch base on R&D and micronutrient formulation as to how micronutrients are made or how micronutrient mixes are made. It's basically a blend of vitamins and minerals depending upon the formulation and specifications which are derived. What is required is the formulation and blending with the carriers like starch, maltodextrin or dextrose, and the amount of the percentage required to become a part of the nutrients. The third, which is very important, is the temperature at which it is being made and the temperature at which the nutrients are stored. The availability of dry powder premixes, oily liquid premixes, and water miscible premixes, because you have different lines for manufacturing these premixes. And the fourth, which is very important, is how these premixes, in terms of, are they fat soluble? How are they used in powders, which is cold water dispensable, the CWS form? So premix is not it's not an easy work wherein you manufacture and keep it, because it all depends upon food application, the formulations, and the carrier which needs to be added into it. Yeah, next slide. Like there were a lot of questions which were asked to us earlier, and in this discussion, one of the speakers was also talking about grades. In fact, there are grades of nutrients which very few people are aware of. It comes in food grade, it comes in pharma grade, it comes in feed grade. When we talk about food and when we talk about FSSAI, we all deal with food grade nutrients. When I talk about pharma grade, I'm talking about FDA certification. And when I talk about feed grade, well, there are no certifications of feed grade. So all these nutrients are divided into these type of grades, wherein the quality is then assured as to on which basis my nutrients are made and my premixes are made out of them. Second, the quality of micronutrient is also ensured on receipt of incoming raw material or incoming nutrients and the manufacturing process which goes into, and the following of your good manufacturing practice, FSSAI and ISOs. The quality is also assured by physiological testing of nutrients, which is a must, which is there at the lab level at the starting of the nutrients which are coming in. So the quality is assured of the premix if I'm assuring the quality of input nutrients which are coming in. Next slide. Once I am assured of the quality that is coming in terms of raw materials, then there is a control, quality control in terms of the manufacturing processes. That means you analyze each and every nutrient, you evaluate them depending upon the potency of the nutrients, because then only you have to add overages, which are very much important in manufacturing the premix. Once you know what type of overages you require depending upon the quality and the shelf life of the food application, you improve the life of the nutrient by adding them. There has to be a proper process in manufacturing the premixes. There are good amount of approvals required to dispatch the approved premixes. You have to analyze each and every nutrient and the premixes and the COA to be provided to our customers. And while going to the customer, what is important is packaging. You just can't pack the premixes in any type of packaging. For example, if I'm doing milk premix, if I'm doing oil premix, it has to be an amber color bottle. You can't pack an oil premix into a normal white bottle, because sunlight will basically destroy the premix which is there inside. Again, if I'm talking about milk premix, it has to be an HDPE bottle, a container which is an HDPE plastic oriented, which is done. The powder premix basically comes with a tri-laminate. So it's not one section of laminate which is required. It is 3 layers of laminate which comes in, wherein the product is filled in. And that is how it is given to the consumer. So quality control is an emphasis which I want to put to all my manufacturers of premix and other products. Next slide. I have already spoken on the procurement and ingredient handling, the manufacturing, the quality control, the packaging, which I have said about at what are the 3 different packaging for the 3 different product lines, and what level or what state it has to be stored, which is again very, very important, which is all these things are mentioned in the label when it is put on the actual product and provided to the consumer. Next slide. The safety measures in developing micronutrient formulations, like I said, premix are developed as per the customer requirement and referring to the RDA level and upper limit, or the it's basically an average of the upper limit and the bottom limit which FSSAI has recommended for the safe total daily intake. There's a myth saying overdosing of nutrients. Overdosing of nutrients is not harmful to the human body. Excess is always created out naturally. So even if you think there is an overdose of micronutrient coming in from the different food applications you are taking, one, it can never come in because the RDA level per day is on the higher side, and what is it was consumed basically is not on that high level aside. Even if it is, these are food grade micronutrients. They are not harmful and they are excreted out naturally. The dosage instructions, like I said, are provided on the label to avoid overdosing of the micronutrient, which is a must as per the standards and as per the regulation of FSSAI. Next slide. Storage conditions of micronutrients, I've already said as to what temperature the micronutrient needs to be stored, at what temperature the individual nutrients needs to be stored, which is very important. I can't store a vitamin A at my normal temperature, which is 24 or 18. It has to be stored at a temperature which is 8 to 15 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, the potency of the product will get spoiled. It is rancid out there. D2 is stored at below 4 degrees. If I store it at a normal temperature, my product is distorted. Like I said, premix to be stored in cool, dry, and hygienic place. It should be protected from direct sunlight. That is the reason why when we do the packaging of premixes, it is amber color bottles, HDPE bottles, and tri-laminates of aluminum, which is used for packaging. Next slide. As a CSR activity along with BSS, we have some quantitative tests done of vitamin A in fortified edible oil. So along with the developing partner, we will be providing these kits to the industry for helping them out and analyzing the premixes, analyzing the final product, probably to states like in northeastern states and to Himachal Pradesh where flour and other fortification is done. So we are working on that as a CSR activities by providing them the analyzing kits and the test kits, which we call it as the rapid test kit. Next slide. And this is what Hexagon Nutrition is. I'm an Atmanirbhar Bharat in terms of my entire product range for staple food. Everything is India made. The processed food. So it's your own India company which is there. Next slide. The dietary food industry, the beverages industry, and therapeutic food is your own India-based manufactured marketing company, which we are exporting to about 70 countries all over the world. Yes, next slide. Next slide. My next slide was basically a thank you slide. Thank you. So I've got like Diptiji, a small, I can even work it out. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity, Diptiji, your team, and ASSOCHAM and FSSAI, and wishing all the very best for the fortification in India. Bless everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arunji. It was a pleasure. And there have been some questions in the chat box on premixes and, how the premixes are added and whether fortification is a natural process or industrial process or is it a genetic engineering. I've tried to respond to some questions, but I'm sure those who have heard you would have understood exactly what food fortification is, how safe it is, how effective it is, and how it is going to make a lot of difference to their own health and to the health of members in their family. So now that we are coming to an end of our program, may I please invite some questions, because no webinar can be complete if we have not responded to at least 2 to 3 questions from the audience. And I assure you, all the audience, you have so many questions. We would not have time to respond to all the questions, but all your questions would be duly answered and they would be available on ASSOCHAM's website in the next 2 days. So by Monday, if you log on to ASSOCHAM website and you can see your answers on that website. But for now, may I please request Nirupma ji to read out not more than 3 questions one by one, and then we will see who amongst us is in the best position to answer to those questions. So over to Nirupma ji.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Actually, one of the is how fortified vegetables can be done. Is there any possibility?
If you want to look at the possibilities, Indian global minds are very creative. But you don't need to fortify vegetables. Vegetables are the storehouse of micronutrients. When we say, if one of our speakers had in the beginning, Mr. Thakur had very clearly mentioned that if you have to combat micronutrient malnutrition, you have basically 3 options. Supplements, which is taking capsules, syrups of vitamins and minerals. You have food fortification, and the third one is dietary diversification. And when we say dietary diversification, it is consuming fruits and vegetables because they are loaded with vitamins and minerals. Only thing is that at times, affordability of fruits and vegetables, availability of fruits and vegetables, and accessibility of fruits and vegetables becomes a challenge. So here what we are talking about in this seminar is staple food fortification, 5 basic food commodities that each one of us consumes irrespective of socioeconomic class we belong to. And they are salt, which can be fortified with iron as well as iodine. And when we fortify both iron and iodine, we call it double fortified salt. Otherwise, currently you are always getting iodized salt. So now you can look for double fortified salt. Then we have the next food commodity is rice. So rice can be fortified, and some brands are available in the market which are fortified. I'm not going to name those brands. You have to go and look at the +F logo. Plus, lot of states have initiated providing fortified rice in the PDS program. Third important commodity is edible oil. All of us consume oil, some consume in smaller amount, some consume in larger amount. So if everyone is consuming oil for cooking, for frying, then fortifying edible oil again becomes a very good choice. And as I mentioned, GAIN is working in the edible oil sector, and we are happy and very proud to share that with our efforts, we are reaching out to 854 million people with adequately fortified oil, which is fortified with vitamin A and D. 854 million people means 85.5 crores of people. So this is the kind of population that we are already reaching with fortified edible oil. Then we have milk. As Vivek Arora ji and I mentioned, milk is another one commodity that everyone consumes either in the form of milk per se or in the form of tea, and milk is fortified with vitamin A and D, and it has shown fantastic results in reducing vitamin A and vitamin D deficiency. And then we have wheat flour. Wheat flour again is fortified with iron, folic acid, B12, like rice is fortified and it is being provided through the public funded programs, and some of the big companies, some of the small medium companies are also fortifying wheat flour and providing through the open market commercial channels. So you don't really need to fortify vegetables. Sorry for a big lecture, but I thought let me clarify. This would also help to sum up. Yes, Nirupa, second question.
Yes. So next question that has popped up is how safe the fortified products are when they are kept in the retail outlet at the room temperature?
They are 100% safe. They are 100% effective. Why? Because these are staples. When we try, the basic principle of fortification is that we don't bring about any change in the storage or the consumption pattern. Because if you were to introduce those elements that, oh, this is a commodity which is, because now it is fortified, it requires to be put into the refrigerator or somewhere, then we lose the battle. So no one is going to put the flours of wheat flour, a packed wheat flour bag or a packed oil brand out into the open under the sun or for rain to lash it. So they are always kept inside at the room temperature, and at the room temperature, they are very, very, very stable. They are as stable as a regular wheat flour, rice, oil, milk, or double fortified salt, or the salt would be. So just don't worry about it.
Yes. So, and the last question that has come up is there any development that has been done on the plant-based milk sector?
See, FSSAI lays out the standards. The standards right now that have been laid out for milk are milk from the animal source and milk which is toned milk, double toned milk, with different grades of fat in it. Right now, plant milk, like you can talk about soya milk, almond milk, these are not generally available for consumption as the regular milk is. So when we talk of staple foods, staple, the very word staple means that it is the basic food that everyone consumes, irrespective of their socioeconomic class. Plant milk is not this commodity. This is a specialized commodity which a lot of people who are either vegan or who are allergic to lactose may not want to drink. So for that very small percentage of population, plant milk is available, but that is not available very widely. Right now, the regulations and all the discussion has been only on fortified staple foods based on the standards that have been gazetted and notified by FSSAI. There may be many companies who are making plant-based milk, and if they are making plant-based milk and if they want to fortify it, it is up to them, but then that would be their proprietary item and not under a staple food category.
Ma'am, quick question from my side. As we have listened, Ms. Inoshi, that they have released regulations for 5 categories of products, staple foods. What about the fortified biscuits that we see in the market?
See, there is no bar on fortifying any food commodity that you may wish to. Even if you are wanting to make, biscuits, some snack, any milk product, any commodity, any mithai, anything. And if you're wanting to add some micronutrients into it, or some nutraceuticals, some drinks, some fruit juices, if you want to add any micronutrients to it, you are welcome to. But you have to put it on the label, and that has to be first approved by FSSAI that yes, you can put it at this level. Now, whenever we are doing fortification, Fortification, when we are talking about, is of staple foods because that impacts the health and nutrition well-being of all the population groups. Biscuits, if you seriously ask me, biscuits, bread, bakery products, if they are fortified, they help a lot. Reason being that lot of people consume bakery products, lot of people consume biscuits, but then those biscuits are consumed or the bakery products are consumed, the breads are consumed in a very limited amount. And they are not consumed every day like the 5 staples are. Staples are the ones which are consumed every day, 3 to 4 times in a day, or at least the 2 main meals. All other products are not consumed as staple food commodities. If you are having fortified juices, if you are having fortified biscuits, even if you have fortified biscuits, you are not consuming them in large amounts to make an impact on the health. But if those biscuits are fortified, they would only add to the health of people. They are not going to adversely impact the health. But as we say, thoda kam, little less sugar, little less fat, little less salt, and focus more on healthier options. So I'm not going to define whether A, B or C category is healthier or less healthy. But all I'm saying is that if any person, any food business operator wants to fortify their food commodity, it is value addition. They have to, it can be considered as a proprietary item. They have to, whatever they add, they have to put it on the label claim. But as far as standards are concerned, standards are only defined for the staple foods that are consumed in substantial amount by almost the entire population in the country.
Thank you so much, ma'am. These are the basic questions that were asked, and rest I would request audience to send us a mail, and we'll be definitely addressing to the respective panelists, and we'll definitely answer them through mail.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So are we through the panel discussion?
Yes, from my side, yes.
So as we are heading to the concluding session, I would like to conclude it. From ASSOCHAM, we are thankful to all the esteemed panelists, Ms. Deepti Gulati for sure, and our chief guest, Ms. Inoshi Sharma, and the participants from the state division. We are really thankful in getting the, being the instrument for bringing this change, creating awareness amongst the masses about the various subsectors of nutrition, and will continue doing that. We are really thankful to Mr. Vikram Kelkarji for joining with us and supporting us throughout the year. And we are really thankful to Arun Umlalji for such a nice presentation and giving us all the brief about the industry perspective and what are the technicalities regarding the micronutrients. So thank you so much. We'll still again connect with all of you, bringing some more initiatives like that. Thank you so much to all the participants for joining us.
And I would like to thank ASSOCHAM with the bottom of my heart for all the honor that you've given me. I'm really humbled and thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. You truly deserve it, and we look forward to such opportunities in future as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.